Hello, folks. Welcome to another Wednesday night planted tank stream on Natural Aquariums here. I'm so honored to have my guest here today, Hayley with Oddball Aquatics. Hello,
Hello.
Hayley. How are you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. Very tired, but I'm here and I'm ready.
Awesome, awesome. Glad to, like I said, glad to have you here, and yeah, appreciate you doing this. I know for people like on the East Coast, it's late, and then especially for you. I mean, you've just been a mad woman lately. Just
I just keep
going.
going.
Yeah,
I've got events when it's event season, it's go time. I can sleep when there's no events. Like
yeah.
between and I sound like horrible right now because I've been talking to people all weekend and like
Yep.
yelling like a crazy person. But yeah, event season, Aquashella. I've got 2 weeks before the OCA in Ohio where I've got to go for a weekend,
Oh
and then
man,
I
you got
should be
another one coming
done.
up.
Oh yeah. There's one more before the end of the year, and then I got to focus on breeding shrimp and guppies like a mad person all winter
Yep.
because Aquatic
So, like,
Arts
if we
is
go back in time here, it was like what Aquashella. This kind of started with Aquashella Dallas, or
well.
I mean, you can
So
just go on and on. It sounds
Chicago.
like,
I did Chicago. I did one of the
or
days
yeah,
of
Chicago.
Chicago,
Yeah, that's what I meant to say.
Aquashella.
Hmm.
But before that, I had a speaking arrangement that I had to do in South Bend. So I did my rope fish talk at Tropical Magic in South Bend, and I think it
Tropical
was no,
Magic is a aquarium
it's a
club.
club. Yeah,
Cool.
well, it's an event that the Michiana Club holds. So I do a
Oh,
lot
okay.
more with clubs than I do with like YouTube. Like Aquashella is
Hmm.
like my YouTube thing for the year,
Yeah. Yep.
but most of what I do is I work with the clubs like the Bucks County Aquarium Society up in Pennsylvania and the what's the one in Connecticut? The big one. Oh, I forget. I'm so tired.
No,
But
you're really
like
tired. That's cool. No
the
problem.
OCA is the Ohio Cichlid Association. That's
Hmm.
November
Okay.
19th through the 21st. They're holding their extravaganza. So I like to go to all these events because I like to talk to actual like fish breeders and fish people. And like Aquashell is fun. And I get to
Sure.
talk to a lot of people that are newer and a lot of people that have been in the hobby for a long time. But with the club stuff, you always get that old like Charlie Grimes, like
Hmm. Yeah.
been in it for 50 or 60 years, and
Yeah.
he's like,
Yeah.
oh, here it's your turn to kill these rare fish that I pulled out of a river. Like,
Yeah,
that's just
yeah,
my
and those
favorite part
people
of
put
it.
such things into perspective, and
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I love talking about clubs, and that's part of what I try to do here on YouTube is to promote clubs. I'm on the board of directors there at Greater Portland Aquarium Society, and so and then I'm in and a couple other kind of adjacent clubs to this area. I'm members as well, and obviously not nearly as active there. But yeah, that's awesome to hear that you're so involved in those
Oh,
clubs.
I wouldn't be anywhere in this hobby without the clubs. And honestly, that's like 90% of the reason I was actually okay with going to Portland because I
Hmm.
don't fly and I have no interest in being on an airplane, but one of the people that worked for Aquatic Arts said that we would go to this thing, and then she kind of like
Yep.
bounced on the club. So I was like, okay, I'm just going to take over this. I'll deal with it. I'll get on the plane. And Portland is amazing, by the way. You guys have an awesome club, an awesome town. I had the best time when I was there. So minus the
Nice.
plane ride,
Thank
that
you.
was a fantastic time. And we're gonna make that Fishtober event like 10 times bigger. It's gonna be huge because
Yeah, I mean,
you
this
have
is
the
just the
crowd.
first one, and yeah, so happy that my club was in a position to do this, and yeah, it's thanks to people like you, of course. Kenny, did a lot
Oh,
of the
Kenny
work
did
as our
all of that.
president,
He
but
man,
yeah, uh-huh, yeah.
but
So yeah, it's
but
it's
I
certainly
bagged his
something.
fish, so he did all the work for Fishtoberfest. But when I got off of the plane after being awake for 24 hours and got to Fishtoberfest, he still didn't have his fish bagged up. So instead of going to sleep like I should have because I had to be on a red eye flight the next day at midnight, I went over to Kenny's house, bagged up his shrimp for him with LRB until 3 or 4 in the morning, which is like
Wow.
7 or 8 a.m. my time because y'all are 4 hours. Dude, that messed with me. The difference, I was like, wait, I think I've been awake for 24 hours, but really I think it's been like 40. I don't really know what time it is anymore. And I just kept going because I couldn't sleep on the plane. So I literally I did not go to sleep for like 2 or 3 days for that trip. I just was just going.
Well, we certainly appreciate you, everything you did for it. Because, yeah, Kenny kind of told me that story that, you know, that obviously I knew we had Aquatic Arts set up. And then, yeah, that person kind of flaked out. And he's like, don't worry, Hayley's got this and all this. So,
well, it's like, how are you going to flake out on people I know? Like, these are my friends. Like, you can't talk to my friends, tell them I'm going to be somewhere halfway across the country, and then you just don't tell them what's going on. Like, now I got to take care of this because these are my people. Like, come on now.
Yeah.
I didn't even know we were going until Bob Steenfont messaged me, and he's like, so I heard you're going to be in Portland. And I'm like, am I? He's like, yeah, the Aquatic Arts is sending you to Portland. And I'm like, they are?
That's news to me, huh?
Oh, okay. I guess I need to talk to some people about what's going on. And so now I'm taking over all of it. Like I'm doing all the events. December is all about planning next year's events, and we're doing huge things at Aquatic Arts. It's just going to get monumentally huge. So next year I'm not going to sleep either.
Strike me as somebody that's so, you know, passionate to you know, help people out and everything, and you know, I mean, to be that passionate about your job, I don't think that there's very many people that are like that. You know, I like what I do, but you know, I mean, you've just taken it to this new level, I think.
Well, I'll tell you what happened. Oh, you've dropped your phone. I'll tell you what happened. So 3 years ago, three years ago now, maybe 4 years ago, you would not recognize me. I had mouse brown hair, and I worked in flooring for 10 years. I was a customer service rep, and I sold floor for a gigantic flooring corporation online. And I had social anxiety. Like, I wouldn't talk to anybody. That was not my thing. Yeah. And then I kept reptiles. Like, I kept all the furry animals and reptiles, and I didn't talk to anybody about it. I did not do YouTube, any of that. And then I found rope fish, and I decided I wanted to breed rope fish. And I decided the only way I was going to get enough information to formulate a plan to actually breed this fish that had never been bred in tank before is I was going to have to open my mouth and talk to people. And not just like any people, but like as many people as possible, because nobody's going to have the answer. I'm just going to have to find information and formulate the answer myself.
You're going to have to talk to like every person that's ever kept a rope fish that you can find. And get
not even just rope fish. Not even just rope fish. I will talk to anybody about any fish because you have no idea what piece of information is going to relate back to what you're doing. So you could be talking to me about your African cichlid tank and say something that you've done 2 years ago that did such and such that actually plays into what I'm doing, which is why I'll talk to anybody.
Yeah, and that's happened to me so many times, and that's what
we're like. Oh, wait a minute!
Communities like this and fish clubs and getting to talk to people, and you know, I mean, there's different levels of communication when you're just on a forum. You know, you're down to text, or even just, you know, the wonderful folks here in chat, which I haven't even acknowledged yet. You know, so
So anyway, so 3 years ago, I quit my job. Like, I was like, I'm done working in floor. I hate it. I hate the 9 to 5. I hate doing something for somebody else that has nothing to do impacting the world that I care about. And I was like, if I'm going to do this rope fish thing, I'm going to do it all the way. And LRB was like, hey, you want to work for me full time? And I was like, yeah, let's do it. Let's go. I'm gonna go meet as many people.
That was your first job, like in the hobby, right?
Yep. I
wasn't sure.
So I he's a member of my club, and I offered to help him on shipping nights because he was getting so many orders that he was up
and that's like
all freaking
Circle
night.
City or
Circle City Aquarium Club.
Yep.
And he had all these orders, and he was up all night filling orders. So I went and helped him on shipping day initially, which was just on Tuesdays.
Nice.
And that was after my normal job. So I'd go to work at 7 a.m. and then I'd leave work and I'd go to LRB's house, which is an hour away from where I live, and I'd work until 2 or 3 in the morning, and then I'd come home and then I'd do it all. Like, it became crazy.
Wow.
So
yeah. But
one
I mean,
day, one day
opportunity like that, I mean, I know so many people are a big fan, including myself. I mean,
oh
check
Lord,
that
put
out.
those granules away. Put them away.
That's
I can't even look at them.
You see what's on there though, Hayley,
I
right?
see it.
I got the little one and the big one now.
Mm-hmm. I can't deal with the granules. I had to feed way too many of them. But anyway, he said, "You want to work for me full time?" And I'm like, "What? Changing tanks of water?" And he's like, "Yeah, and other stuff." And basically, I was his personal assistant. I mean, there would be days where I watched Wesley, and there would be days where I, cleaned this or did that or whatever. But like,
whatever you needed him to do is
Well, I mean, when we went to Dallas, which was our first, like, we did some traveling, but when we went to Dallas was our first big travel thing together, and basically it was. He's useless without his girlfriend. Like, he can't order food. He doesn't know how to DoorDash. He doesn't know, like, I had to make sure he got checked into his hotel. Like, it was actually like being a personal assistant to somebody. Like, okay, he needs food now and we need to do this and I got to find out where all of that. So I not only got the fish part of it, but I got the industry part of it. And plus I'm really, really good at customer service and I'm a really good personal assistant. Like, I can tell you exactly what he orders from Steak and Shake. I can tell you his order at Subway. I can it's not just the fish.
Nice.
But then from that, I ended up getting the job at Aquatic Arts because they come to our club a lot too. And they offered me a job for, basically doing what I wanted. Like, I was going to be able to play with the fish and help them set up their new warehouse and do their social media and go to all these events and set up booths. And I'm like, okay, this is like, I love you, Lucas. And I'll still, we're still if he needs help on shipping night, I'm still there. Like, our kids play together.
Are good friends still. So, and you're over at Kenny's house bagging up all those shrimp for them and stuff.
Right. Like that. He's like, that's like, pretty much my best friend. So if if I'm going to bag shrimp at 3 a.m., that's who I want to do it with. Because he knows how I bag stuff because he taught me how to bag stuff. So we share OCD. So Lucas has OCD and so do I. And I had to learn his version of OCD in order to work in his fish room. So it kind of works out real well.
Yep. I remember, before Fishtoberfest, we were hanging out over at Ken and Danny's and stuff. And then, Ken had a few cocktails and stuff, I think. And he's feeding fish and he's like putting his hands in the water and
Lucas
putting the food around, then going to the next tank and doing the same. And Lucas is like, no! He's like,
it's the hand back in the thing. Like, it's all about touching the water. Like, fun fact about me, part of my OCD is that I don't like for my hands to be wet, which is really difficult in this hobby because it's what we do. So I always have a towel on me, and it's because I can't, it's the transfer of water and the quarantine and they have to be dry.
A little bit the same way, like basically every time I take my hand out of the tank, I
even if you're going to put it right back in, you're going to dry it off.
I'm just grabbing the scissors, and then I'm going to put it back in and cut that, and then I'm going to take it out, dry my hands off, grab the tongs.
That's me. That's me all day long. That's why I love my 50 lowboy, because I can literally trim and play with all the plants in there with a 12-inch thing of tweezers without getting my hands wet, because it's only 6 inches.
Nice.
My favorite tank.
Nice.
Other than my pond. I mean, my pond is my favorite, but
for sure. And I've always wanted those 50 low boys, but man, they take up that just massive footprint, and I don't even have a fish room. It's just like, tanks throughout my house, basically.
This is my kitchen.
The great thing about that is that every room I go into, basically, there's between 1 and 3 tanks in that room.
Yeah, every surface is a potential fish tank. There's just, I don't even have a dining room table. No.
I haven't
tanks. This is my kitchen.
Into quite getting rid of the dining room table yet, or covering it with fish tanks yet. But
you don't need it.
Of course, I got in trouble last week. I assumed she wasn't listening, and I was wrong. So I'll just leave it at that. You know, I don't
Very
know.
nice.
I think she knows that I'm pretty comfortable with the amount of fish tanks I have right now, but I don't know. There's always something new out there. You know, right now I'm like overrun with plants. Like, what do I do with all these plants? You know?
You sell them. You sell them.
Yeah, I need to get into doing that. And I kind of meant to after Fishtoberfest, but I don't know. I started this stream and then I got a job, and yeah, I don't have necessarily the energy that Hayley does, you know, but
Need more coffee.
I try. I'll get there. I need to sell those plants basically.
Yeah. You need more coffee.
More I know. Like up until, I don't know, probably 4 or 5 years ago or something, I never drank coffee at all. You know, I used to, although I used to like come to work with like 2 Coca-Colas, and I'd pound those things or yeah, in the morning, you know. And so then, yeah, I kind of try to get more away from sugar, and then I've moved my caffeine over to coffee a little bit, but basically I have like 1 to 2 cups a day, and that's it, you know.
I'm on my 5th pot.
5 pots. So yeah, that's why
I'll finish the first pot before 7 a.m.
instead of using this little Keurig crap.
No, I can't. Somebody bought me a Keurig one time, and I was like, no, dude, I can't. That's never gonna work.
Yeah.
Like, by the time I finish that first one, it's not going to have time to make another one before I'm ready for it. Like 12 cups before 7 a.m. generally. And then it's like, go, 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 go.
Yeah. You're just going to fill up a landfill at that point.
Right. I can't do that to the environment, let alone my sanity to have to wait that long. Plus, those things brew weak coffee. Like, I don't know how much coffee grounds you use to brew your coffee, but like I use dark roast black silk Folgers coffee, and it's like
like I said, I'm kind of new to the game,
cups.
You know.
Like okay, so I have a I have a 1/4 cup scoop, and I do 3 of those. So what is that, like 3/4 of a cup of coffee grounds?
Yeah.
Per 12 cup. Yeah, like it's a lot. And sometimes I double brew it. Like if I'm real tired, I'll throw that coffee right back in there and double brew it. Like I need to
use the coffee for the water.
If I'm real tired,
you're hardcore, okay.
Dude.
I'm getting all the coffee.
You know how
tips.
it takes so much caffeine to keep going. Like I've done so much research because of how little sleep I get on how a body can function and on how little of sleep. And basically, as long as you get a 90-minute circadian rhythm, you can keep going. Like it'll reset you, and
right.
You just have to keep. Have to keep going.
Yeah.
There's not enough hours in a day for the amount of things that I need to do.
Yeah, I certainly feel that, you know, and it's usually go anyways. But yeah.
I just intend to do them.
You talked about the rope fish, and obviously, you know, your Oddball Aquatics. That's your moniker here on YouTube, and you've got some kind of, you know, some other fish that, you know, and creatures
I
that
dabble.
fit within that, right? You know, you got like an axolotl, Congo spotted puffer, some different stuff there.
I
for
do.
Sure. Mm-hmm.
I'm actually
snail, right.
Yeah, giant snail, huge giant apple snail. The puffers, I'm actually in a race with Dean to be able to breed those and keep them alive.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you about that because I knew at one point you had like some eggs and stuff like that. At least
I've gotten babies, and I've gotten one that made it to like 2 months old. The problem with them is, so there's only like 4 people that have really been super successful with, or 2 people that have been successful. There's a guy in Germany and there's a guy named Preston John, who is where I got my group from. Nice. And me and Dean have both been able to get eggs, hatch the eggs, and produce babies. But keeping the babies alive is a struggle, and it's because of the feeding. So those babies are actually smaller than a baby brine shrimp. So you have to feed them paramecium. And you have to feed them paramecium 8 times a day for the first like 60 days of their life. Wow. And I don't know if you know how much it's a lot of paramecium.
Yeah, so you got like tons of jar. I guess one.
No, I don't. That's the problem. Is like you would have to have stupid amounts of freaking green water and just rotting material to produce that much paramecium. And I asked Preston John one time when he was producing like a stupid amount of these things. I'm like, well, how did you make that much? He's like, if you miss one of the 8 feedings a day, you'll reduce the amount of fry you have by half. Like immediately, they'll die off because they just have to eat that much. And I'm like, how did you produce that much food? He's like, listen, you could smell my house down the block. That's how much paramecium I was producing. And I'm like, I can't do that. Like, I can't just reek up my house. Like, there's got to be a better way. And so I started watching Corey's videos.
You can't make like a tub of paramecium. I mean, well, that's going to be stinky.
You can, but it's still not going to be enough.
But so if you put that fish in there, could they handle that? You know.
Well, I tried that. One of the things normally what I do is in a situation like that, I do the LRB method. I put them in a dirty tank that's just got a ton of junk in it. You know what I'm saying? Like paramecium and mulm and just has been seasoned really well. So I had one tank that had a paramecium bloom. Hey, cut it out, dog. I had one tank that had a paramecium bloom, and I just let it keep going, and I kept feeding it. And then when I had a spawn of puffers, because they spawn every 30 days, I just quit pulling the eggs because I can't keep the babies alive. So I put a spawn of them in there, hoping that because it was just filled, like you couldn't even see through this tank, there was so much paramecium. They didn't make it. And I'm like, I don't know, man. I don't know what to do. Because in order to produce that much of it and be able to feed them 8 times a day, who has that kind of time? Like,
I mean, I work from home and still feeding something
that would still be
a day is not realistic.
Like, listen, I took care of a child that had to be fed, you know, when I was, you know, she was an infant that many times a night, and I got up every 2 hours and I did all that. I'm not like, I'll do a lot for an animal. I've gotten up in the middle of the night to feed. I used to do animal rehabilitation and feed baby raccoons and stuff, but like 8 times. That's a lot. Especially when I work full time and I got a kid to take care of, and
So just to keep them well and to get to those parameters where they are breeding, what kind of water are you looking for? And with those,
honestly, I just put them. All my water is the same. This is my trick.
Well, you're on a well, right, too. Yeah.
If you can be on a well, I suggest being on a well. That's the best, because I don't have to dechlorinate. I don't have to add minerals back to my water. My water comes out of the tap at 8.4 pH and 280 TDS.
Wow.
It's just stable as all get out.
Sure. Yep.
Right on the border of liquid rock. So I can keep Africans, but I can also keep the soft water stuff. Doesn't really care. Like John Stoller is one of the guys from our club. He's been breeding rams forever. And he just converts them over to Indiana tap water, which is basically the same TDS as well water. So it's like...
Yeah. It's that Midwest liquid rock sort of stuff.
It's just stable. Like, honestly, even for the soft water fish, like I was keeping blue galaris in that, like, and breeding them like it was nothing, just because it's stable. Stability is key. Like, you can keep anything in the wrong parameters as long as it stays right there.
Yep. I have a lot of luck with that as well. My water's not nearly as hard as yours, but you know, it does have a fair amount of carbonate hardness in it. It's like 7.6, and then like 140 TDS. So, you know, very different than the water across the river from me in Portland. I'm on the Washington side here in the Northwest, you know, so just
Portland's
across the
got
Columbia River.
Acid coming out of their faucets. I'm like, there's nothing in your water.
Yeah, it's almost RO water there, basically. I think a lot of people run, you know, in like the 10 to 20 range of TDS and stuff.
The RO water drives me nuts. And I think that's the only, like, everybody's like, oh, you're so good with plants. And I'm like, honestly, I just put them in my water. Like, people are like, oh, how do you grow plants so well? And blah, blah, blah. I'm like, I use $12 LED shop lights from Walmart, and I put them in my water.
Yeah.
Like.
Oh yeah, that's most of my plant fertilizing is just doing a water change, basically. You know, this.
Oh, and when water
this tank
change,
here,
like
I basically occasionally I'll throw some fertilizers in there, but it's been a very long time. You know, it's just the water, and the water changes, and then over here I've got like an active substrate, so yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, I use a fertilizer, but I use a premix.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've done some dry ferts, and then I've mixed those up, and I kind of like the dry ferts because I can, dial them into what I'm looking for, what I'd like, take the nitrates out if I got, I feel like I got plenty of fish in there to do that.
See, my thing is I want everything to be easy. So even if my tank is like a little bit cloudy, or if I get an algae bloom or something, all I do is the same thing I always do. Big 50% water change once a week, and then I fertilize with the same fertilizer I use for all my tanks, and I wait until the tank balances itself out. Now, whether that's growing more algae or growing more plants or just time for the bacteria colony to build up, whatever it is, if you just wait, your tank will figure it out. That's why I don't run filters, because I don't want something in there that's going to wax and wane because I'm moving filter floss or whatever back and forth. Like, I just want nature to do what it does.
Yeah.
And sometimes it grows algae, and you just have to deal with algae. And you have to wait. As long as, and water change, like when people do water changes, they're like, oh, I did a 20% water change. I hope that's not too much. I'm like, bro, take it down to 50. Like, churn water through that sucker. That's what your tank wants.
Yeah.
What do you think nature's out there doing?
I think maybe some of the people that have softer water are concerned about, big swings and stuff like that. But, I'm on, with my water, at least I'm on board with you, I rarely do a water change that's not 50%. And
oh, dude, sometimes I do more than that. Sometimes I'm like, oh crap.
Usually between 40 and 60%,
I'll churn so much water through there. And if I don't like the way the tank looks, I'll churn more water through there. I'll do another one right quick. I'll just be like 50% again. Let's go. I don't care. And the plants are just like, they start pearling like crazy and growing.
Immediately after?
Because the gas exchange, and then two days later, you've got like twice the amount of plants you had before. And it's like well water for the win.
Nice. Yeah, I've never done that kind of like back to back on the same tank, I don't think, but I might now. But yeah,
dude, there were times at Lucas's house,
a water change one day and then the next day, and then had that same sort of effect. And I wouldn't be afraid to do it, and I think a lot of people would. Yeah, like you said, I changed 20-30%. Is that too much? And
dude, there were times at Lucas's house. Lucas has the autofill at his house that goes from, you can either do from the tap water or the RO water, right? So, there were times where like he'd have like a 75 that'd just be pure green water, just straight Mountain Dew, right? And he'd go change that water until it's not green no more. And I would literally turn the water on and run water through it and pull water out at the same time until that sucker was clear as crystal. And I'm talking, it'd probably be like 1,000% water change.
Yep.
And you want to know what happened? The plants grew, the fish grew, the water wasn't green no more.
Really?
I mean, as long as you have that bacteria in your substrate and not in your filter or in your water.
Those plants and the rocks and the substrate and the glass, if you didn't scrape that, it's all over everything. So what you need is you're not taking out of the tank, essentially. So it makes a lot of sense to me. It's kind of funny
just be nature.
Yep.
Make it rain.
I subscribe to some of this, I named my channel Natural Aquariums, and I've got some inspiration from Lucas. Like this tank, the tank over there, don't have any filter. This one does have a canister on it that I've.
How big is that?
It's mainly making flow because I haven't cleaned the canister out, and I guess it's holding a whole ton of bacteria as well. Beneficial bacteria.
Probably, yeah. And how big is that tank?
This one's I call it a 90. It is it's an acrylic half hex, so it's got these kind of this panel
Anytime
here
you get
different than this
anytime
panel
you get
here. So
over
I think
that
it's
40,
probably a little less than that because it's like the dimensions of a 90 with the corners cut off, basically.
well, anytime you get over that like 40 to 50 gallon range, anytime you get like a tank that's bigger than that, a lot of times it's beneficial to put in some kind of flow, just because even in nature, you don't get that crystal clear water all the way through that depth. So when you have like this is a 40 gallon right here, and you'll see it's a little bit like murky, if you will. Like it's not like murky, but it's got like a tiny cloud to it. And that's because it's 40 gallons of water that's not moving at all. There's not even air on this tank.
Yep.
But it's fine. There's no, like, unless you're wanting something that's a display piece.
It's a gorgeous tank, you know, that it's full of plants and I'm sure.
Right. I mean, if it was crystal clear,
yeah,
it would be, you know, whatever. But
it's kind of funny that we had this conversation today because I just put out a video where I have this 40 gallon breeder, and you know I like some of the tanks I have, you know, some of them have filters, some of them don't, you know, but that tank didn't have any filters on it. And then right before, I think what happened is like for Fishtoberfest, I brought a ton of plants to sell, right? And so I had this Ranunculus inundatus. It's a really cool carpeting plant. It gets like this tall under bright light, and it's got these cool fronds. I gave Lucas some of it actually, and I pulled some. I just pulled, instead of trimming it off and stuff, I just pulled up a clump of it, since it's like a carpeting type plant, to break off some pieces and sell it. And I think that stirred up a bunch of nutrients, and I got this algae bloom. So I went through and got like a UV sterilizer to kind of cycle through that and get rid of it. And the video, basically it says that, you know, I put the UV sterilizer on there, ran it for this period of time. It kind of looked like it was changing it from like a green water to a gray water. So it kind of looked like it was killing the algae, but you know, there's still stuff in the tank, right? Even if it kills stuff, it works. It doesn't remove anything, right? You have to do that with water changes. So yeah, I did.
We have to remove green water with water changes.
60%. And then the next day I did another 60%. And then now it's like crystal clear again, you know?
Yep. Well, and part of that's the water change that you did. So you probably killed off the green water and then it goes down to the bottom, but green water generally will live in the substrate. So if you stir it up again, the green water will probably come back.
Yep.
Lucas had a 75 that literally was impossible to eradicate the green water. It didn't matter how much water I churned through that thing. The next day, Mountain Dew.
See, and this
because
is
it
like
just was living in there.
Fish for almost 40 years, not quite 40 years, but I had never experienced any green water before. You know, I've heard so much about it, and I've always like felt fortunate that I don't have to deal with it or anything. But it's kind of a new experience to me.
I like it. Honestly, after working for Lucas, like that's why I call him the green water wizard, because it's so, like, when you're trying to get green water because you want it to use for like Daphnia or like feeding paramecium and things like that, it's so hard to do. You're just like, I can't get it done. And he can just do it like nothing. Like he's not even trying, and the tank goes green, and it's like, and the fish breed. Like I've literally seen him take a 40 gallon, put like 9 different species of fish in it. It goes green and becomes a whole algae scape and just looks absolutely, I mean, it looks amazing, honestly, but like what people would say is it looks disgusting, right? And then he'll have me change the water, pull all the algae out, and they'll just be fry of all 9 species. He'll have me pull the parents out because he does musical fish. So it's like you put them in here and then you pull the parents, right?
Sure. Oh.
And I'm like, how do you even do this? Like most people can't even get the freaking green water. And yet somehow you can throw a stupid amount of fish into a tank with nothing. Babies. Green water wizard. Absolutely ridiculous. And all he feeds is Tetracolor tropical granules. I'm over here jacking around with baby brine shrimp and black worms and all this other
Uh-huh.
nonsense. And he's like,
Yeah,
here's
it's a
some
lot more work.
Cheetos.
Yeah.
Right? I was so mad at him because those
Do
Bashirs,
your
I bred
fingers
out my
still
Bashir.
hurt from
Oh,
crunching them up?
I can't even feed that stuff in my fish room. Like people are like, oh, do you feed them? I'm like, no, I can't do it. Like,
Yeah.
I
use
honestly
quite
really
a
like
bit
the
of it,
flu
but
bowl.
I also have always liked feeding my fish different things and varying the diets and stuff like that. You know, part of it I think is it's just for me. You know, I mean, obviously, you know, Lucas pretty much just 100% feeds that, and look what he's done. But you know, it's just part of the fun part of the hobby too. And sometimes I like to spoil my fish and
Well, most of my fish are
feed them some
predators.
frozen stuff or some live stuff.
Most of my fish are predators, so it's like that's not gonna do anything for them. Like the rope fish get tilapia and crickets and all kinds of junk, and like the Bashirs, I had to switch the Bashirs over to the Hikari Massivore Delight pellets because they'll eat me out of house and home. That platinum Bashir will take down just a stupid amount of food.
Wow.
She's a hoss.
Yeah. How big has that thing gotten?
I mean, she's probably a good, what is that, like just under a foot?
Yeah.
And fatter than a hot dog. She's a freaking, she's so huge. She's like a giant cucumber just hanging out in a log.
That's awesome.
Eating food. Those Massivore pellets, right, are supposed to be the equivalent protein of like 1.5 goldfish. She will eat like 6 of those.
Wow.
And not even think twice about it.
Wow. Man, that's
she's a heifer.
For dry foods, that's rather expensive. Those Massivore pellets, they don't give those things out.
Bloodworms. She'll eat 6 cubes of bloodworms. She'll eat 6 cubes of bloodworms and not even bat an eye at it. And I'm like, I can't feed you that much. Like, you have to stop eating. And if I don't feed her that much, she will. I've literally seen this fish. So there's 4 Bashirs in there. There's 2 albinos and a regular and a platinum. And I have seen
they're ornate or Senegal or.
They're all Senegals.
Okay.
So there's a platinum Senegal, a regular Senegal Bashir, a long-finned albino, and a short-finned albino. And I have seen that platinum on days. So I usually do 1 skip day in my feeding. So I feed every day, and then I do 1 skip day so that they kind of get a chance to clear out and the tank kind of resets itself. Then I do water change, right? So I've seen her on skip day as I walk by the tank, grab the albino, the short fin albino, who's the smallest one in the tank. And she doesn't grab him like by the head, like she's going to eat him. She'll grab him by the middle, like he's some kind of toy, and she'll hold him at the front of the tank and shake him around. And I have to be like, smack at the guy, like, let go of him. And she lets go of him, and then I have to feed her because it's basically her going, I'm going to eat this dude if you don't feed me. And I'm like, listen.
They got you trained, or she does.
She does. She's a princess. She's a diva because I basically have treated her like that since I got her because she's gorgeous and she breeds and I love her. But
I used to keep some more like kind of oddball type fish, you know, some freshwater eels and I had a clown knife for like 13 years and stuff like that.
I have an Asian featherback.
The planted tanks and stuff. So you do have a knife fish as well. I thought I saw
it's
one
an Asian featherback. I tried
to like go back and find it on your channel, and I'm like, I swear
he's in that 40-gallon right there.
Okay, awesome.
But he's a jerk. Like he's cool with his tank mates. Like he's in there with a royal sailfin albino pleco and a bunch of Corridoras and a giant ornate Bashir. Which they're all shoehorned in there. That tank's way too small for them, but I have a 470-gallon pond ready to go up in the basement for them. It's just not set up yet. But that knife fish, he won't let anything in the back corner of that tank. So that's like his spot behind the piece of wood back there.
Yeah.
And like not even a snail.
Knife, if you ended up in her,
I gotta show you this.
Her section of the tank, that's bad news. You're not gonna.
Well, look.
You're not gonna.
If you look right here, you see this pile of snails?
Yep.
That's because if a snail goes back behind this piece of wood where he hides, he will pick it up and he will throw it at the front of the glass right here at me. And he'll do it while I'm sitting in my chair over there. He'll just chuck it at me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to see if he'll come out. This is my royal albino pleco. He's huge. This knife fish is not having it though. There's the ornate over there. Are you gonna come out or are you gonna hide? Where are you? Oh, there he is.
Sorry, folks. I'm trying to remember how to use the StreamYard thing and get Hayley full scale here. So, oh, there we go. Nice.
That's the ornate Bashir.
Mm-hmm.
He's huge. He won't stop growing.
I like how you coaxed him out. He's like, "Oh, you gonna feed me?"
They're my pets. I love them.
Yep. Now you're calling the knife a he. Do you know the sex or do you just?
I have no idea. Nah, I just call him a he because he's a jerk. That's probably sexist, but whatever.
I've got a Fahaka puffer that I have no idea, obviously, because you can't sex them. And then, she's a she. It's Betty.
Right. It's my giant Bashir. Where are you at, jerk? Come throw a snail at me.
My knife,
you laying back there?
I actually found out that she was a she. I put a piece of driftwood into the tank one time, and it released a ton of tannins. And I freaked out a little bit because it was a long time ago, but not too much. I'm like, okay, it's just wood, And that night or the next day, she laid just like a ton of eggs onto that piece of wood there. And obviously I had to just get all those eggs out of there because they were like, it was a clown knife. It was a lot of big eggs basically. And
those things get huge. There he is.
Stick.
See him?
Oh, there we go. Nice. Oh man. Yeah, that reminds me so much of that fish. I love that fish.
He's a boss.
Mm-hmm.
I love him.
Mm-hmm.
Turn around, be pretty. You're being a jerk.
So you got plans for not only one, but 2 ponds in the basement, if I'm not mistaken, correct?
Yep, a 900 and a 470. Oh. Okay, I gotta sit back down.
Yeah, no kidding. We only got another 15, 20 minutes or so, and then you should go get some sleep, man. It's crazy.
I think, what do I got left? I gotta send like 2 more emails. I'm trying to get ready for the OCA.
Yeah.
And I gotta plan out whether we're doing a booth or whether I'm just going and hanging out at Big Rich's in the hot tub. I'm tired. Yeah. I'm tired of running stuff.
Man,
I need a break.
As if I wasn't lucky enough that I feel honored to be able to have just been able to hang out with LRB and stuff like that. But yeah, you get to go over to Ohio Fish Rescue and hang out there, and I'm sure.
Oh, honestly, I love it. Ohio Fish
there
Rescue
too, and that's your nature.
Always.
Yeah.
Yeah, Big Rich constantly just like we were there. I was there with Stephen Conroe picking up a tank, and Big Rich was like, "Hey, we got to get these tiles out of this tank." And I'm like, "I don't know how you're going to do that. It's a giant tank, and the tiles are all the way at the bottom." He's like, "Here's how I'm going to do it," and he threw me in the tank. And he goes, "Get those out of there and hand them to me." And I was like, "Are you kidding me right now? You can't just pick me up. Like, I understand I'm 98 pounds and I'm like travel size, but you can't just pick me up and throw me in a tank." He did it. He didn't care. It was so great. I love it over there.
Did it work?
Oh, yeah.
You got the tiles?
That's my favorite part of everything about my job, though, and my friends now, and the fact that I open my mouth and talk to people is that I've made so many friends. Like the fact that I can go to Chicago and just be like, "Hey, Greg, I'm coming to like at Greg Woodstock's place." Be like, "Hey, I'm coming to Aqualand. What's up?" Like,
yeah,
amazing.
Yeah.
Everybody's super, super nice. Big Rich is nothing if not the best host ever. Like, I can't tell you how many times I've crashed at his house, just even without Lucas. I'm like, "Hey, I'm coming over," and like,
cool.
I love it.
And that's certain. absolutely the impression I've always gotten watching their channel. And have you ever been in the pool?
Oh yeah.
Uh-huh.
Oh
See,
yeah.
yeah,
I've
that
been in
seems
the
like
pool. Yeah. I've been on the back of the four-wheeler. Big Rich
yeah.
driving, which is dangerous. I don't
Oh, I'm
recommend
sure.
it.
Yeah, that sounds a little sketchy, no doubt.
It's a bit sketch, but
Uh-huh.
good times.
Uh-huh.
They got a rope swing in the only thing I haven't done is the zip line because I'm not doing the zip line. Because
Yeah,
honestly, a
well, you're
zip
not.
line is all fun and games until you have to walk all the way back. Like, forget it.
So is that the thing with like the flying? Is it the heights? You're actually the second person I've had on this stream in a row from Indiana that doesn't like flying, because I had Rob
Listen,
93 here
don't
last
compare
week.
me to Rob 93.
Well,
Okay?
I think
Because
I
that
just did. I mean,
little
maybe I should
he's such a
apologize,
punk.
but
He
you're
can't even
both
grow a plant.
you're
I don't
both
know why
like the
you had him on a
size that you could
planted
just
tank
toss
stream.
into a fish tank, right?
Yeah,
You
he's
know?
pocket size like me. I know.
Yeah, there's
We're buddies. I've been to his
comparisons.
house. I've seen
I
his
know.
clean tanks.
Okay. I know that was a little
Boy
weird.
wouldn't know what mulm
I'm
was
so
if it hit
honored
him
to
over
have
the
Rob
face.
here, and we had a great time. And but that was a weird thing, because I like call this the planted tank stream. And then here I got this guy that like basically had 2 plants in 20 fish tanks.
It's because he cleans his tank too much.
Uh-huh.
He just cleans everything. It's got to be sterile. I'm like, would you just stop touching it? He's like, but it's dirty. And I'm like, just leave it alone, man. That's why you kill plants. You just need to leave it alone.
No kidding.
No, but the plane thing, it's not a heights thing. I'm cool with heights. I can go up as high as, like, we were on the 26th floor of the Hilton, and I'm standing in the window. Like, it was fine. But my thing is, I don't trust idiots. And you never know where idiots are. So, like, I don't like bridges because I don't know who built that bridge. Did the A+ student build that bridge, or did the D- student build that bridge and he cut every corner in the book? Like, I don't know. Who's flying the plane? Was it the A+ pilot flying the plane, or is it like the D- dude that cheated off of his buddy? Like, I don't know.
How many cocktails did he have this morning?
Right. It's the same reason I don't trust mall Santa Clauses. Like, I'm not sitting on some random dude's lap. Like, that's not Santa. I'm sorry, that's not Santa. It's a random dude in a costume. And you don't know whether he's sweet grandpa that goes to church every week and he just does this for the kids, or he's like creeper. Like, you don't know. I can't.
I think you're a lot safer on the bridges and the planes and stuff. You know, I mean, usually they give those jobs to people that have, you know, some sorts of training and education. But yeah, I'm kind of with you on the Santa thing.
Usually, well, and that's what, like, I have my kid wants to go to Disney World, and I'm like, I'll get grandma to take you because I can't deal. Like, I know they vet all those people, but like literally anybody in a like face covering costume that like wants to hug me for some reason, like I don't do clowns. I don't do like anything that's like, I'm not.
Yeah.
When I worked at the flooring place, we had this
stuff, and a lot of people have seen him. He's got this like big curly hair and stuff, and you know, people always want to touch his head and stuff, and it's a little weird, you know.
It's all like, I'm okay with hugs. Like, if you want to like if your initial reaction to seeing me is to run up and hug me, I'm cool with that. A lot of people just pick me up because I'm small, but like, show me your face. I need to be able to see your facial expressions. Do you have the facial expressions of a friendly person or the facial expressions of a psycho? Like, if I can't see your face,
you gotta know how to
facial
react.
expressions are half of human communication. Like, that's why I hate the mask thing. It's not because I have some like political stance against it. It's because I need to see your face.
Oh yeah.
To know whether you're a threat.
That the physical body stuff is like 60% of communication, and so that's why, you know, you lose so much when you know, people are communicating in other ways, or
like I can say, hey, shut up, right? With you can't see my face and it looks like I'm being mean, or I can say, hey, shut up.
Right. Yeah, totally.
That's two totally different things. And I don't know unless I can see your face.
So did your little lady have a good time in Dallas?
Oh my gosh, she had so much fun.
I bet.
We were so lucky because our booth was right across from that kids corner thing that they always set up. That's got
Oh, that's perfect.
crayons and
Nice.
she was over there the whole time playing red
Nice.
light, green light with all the kids and
Uh-huh.
doing, I
Yep.
mean, she had a blast.
Yep. I
Plus, she
saw
thinks she's
her up on
famous,
the
so.
table there with like I think it was you and Jess and Shanna
And Carrie.
were there,
Yeah,
and
yeah, it was Carrie
there
and
was your little
Shanna.
lady there. She was coloring, I think.
She was over it. She was ready to trick or treat at that point. And she's like,
Uh huh.
Mom, quit talking.
Yep.
This
Yep.
is boring. And I'm like, I know. You just got to give me like 10 more minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Because I
Yep.
haven't filmed anything while we've been here because I've been mom the whole time. Well, I've
Right.
been
Yep.
mom and I've been Aquatic Arts. I haven't been Oddball Aquatics.
Mm-hmm.
I got to wear like
Mm-hmm.
9 hats all the time.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. You just, I don't know. At some point, you got to pick and choose. Like Fishtoberfest, I wanted to like film a bunch of stuff. I don't think I filmed anything, but a bunch of other people did. So like, whatever, they got it.
Well, I always have to try to be like, if I've got my kid with me, I have to be mom first, right?
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
if Aquatic Arts is paying me to be there, I have to be Aquatic Arts second.
Sure. The job.
And then I've got to be Oddball Aquatics third if I'm being good to myself. But generally, I'm LRB Aquatics third because.
Yeah, because he's your buddy.
Well, not only that, but like we share most of the opinions about how to operate in this hobby.
Right.
So anytime I preach what I'm saying,
page.
I'm basically preaching his. I'm basically like one of his little disciples out there going, "You don't need filters." Like,
the yes man.
Right?
No, I like that. I mean, like I said, I got like filters on like half of my tanks, but yeah, there's a good half that don't. And there's a lot of people out there that are afraid to pull the plug, if you know what I mean.
That was when I first started working for him.
Yeah.
I asked him because I was terrified. I was like, how do you do it? How do you go from I have a tank set up, it's fully balanced, everything's fine, but I want to run it filterless? He goes, you turn off the filter. And I was like, but won't that throw the balance off because it's used to having the filter? And he's like, it'll figure it out. And I was like, there's no way. There's no way that can just work because you hear it all the time. My filter stopped and all my fish died, right?
Yeah.
And then one day I noticed that one of my tanks, the filter had been dead for God knows how long.
Right.
Like,
yeah.
It was dry. And I was just like, he was right. It just turned off and
there we go.
Nothing happened. Okay.
I guess everything's all right.
I guess it works.
I still have like now that I think of it, down in my living room, there's a 29 down there that has that hang on the back spinning in there, turned off. It's for years. We're like,
and you're just like,
like 2 years, and I don't know. It just sits there. It probably has some nasty water in the back. I should probably take that hang in the back off. But yeah, I mean that's all I did. There's
a hang on the back on my Bashir tank. My 55-gallon Bashir tank has a hang on the back, and like it clogs up or gets like some kind of plant matter that clogs the intake literally every week. And every time I do a water change, I restart it because I'm like, oh, the filter's not running, and I restart it. And I don't even know why I restart it or run it. I just haven't. I'm just lazy and haven't taken it off of there yet because nothing happens to the tank. The tank looks exactly the same whether it runs or not.
Yeah.
Now this 40.
That's how I've gotten there on a few things that I just got tired. Like it, the sponge filters all of a sudden making some weird noise, or
that's how Lucas did it.
I'm trying to sleep and I'm just like, I'm done. Just unplug.
Lucas literally ran filters. Lucas ran filters in air all the way up into the point where his outside pond, his giant filtration system like died and stopped working, and nothing happened to his tanks. So he eventually was just like, I guess I don't need that. And he just stopped using them in his house. As they died, he just let them die. Like now this 40-gallon right here that's got all those giant fish in it, that has a canister filter on it. And I'm pretty sure I need it because that Pleco is literally like half of the tank big.
Like, that's a poop machine right there. That's a straight up poop machine.
Yeah, they have no room in there, and I'm a horrible fish keeper for that tank. Like, Amber won't even talk to me about that tank. She's like, I don't want to hear it, Haley. You need to stop what you're doing right now. And I'm like,
I mean, it's easy to criticize that, but you showed it. We all saw it, that the fish are doing fine,
They're okay. They're going to be okay until I get that pond going. And the only reason I
And
even
you have a
have those
plan to
fish,
upgrade. Yep.
right? Well, and the only reason I even have them is because they were in a tank in a back room at Aquatic Arts because one of the employees, they belonged to one of the employees that
Oh, okay.
that tore down a tank and brought them into work. And
Oh,
so they
wow.
were just chilling in a back room. We'd been feeding them for like ever. And I was like, man, I'm taking those things home because people would forget to feed them. And I'm like, dude,
Yeah.
this is no
Uh-huh.
good.
That
Took them
person
home,
was like,
fatten them up.
if I bring him to work, I bet Hayley will adopt him.
No, he brought them before I even worked there. They'd been there for
Oh, okay.
forever.
Yeah.
But
Wow.
we do that all the time. We have access to so many fish that
Mm-hmm.
all the time, if we get, we can take stuff in, switch it out, take stuff home. Sometimes I just bring stuff home to film it and then take it back, like, or breed it. Like, if I see something that I know is just ready to breed, like something comes in real fat and ready,
Wow.
I'll just be like, I'm going to borrow those for a week and I'll
What an
take them home and
amazing
let them
job
breed out and take
benefit.
them. Right? That's honestly perks. Like,
Uh-huh. Yeah.
when I started working there, I was like, I need those.
Uh-huh.
All of them.
Yeah, and just, I mean, I feel like I have all these fantastic resources, right? I got the club, and then I got, the wet spot, and then a bunch of other, cool fish stores right around here. And so I just, kind of use my local community. It saves me a bunch of money on shipping and stuff, but I still, like to cruise over to Aquatic Arts and gawk at some stuff. And I'm like, ooh, that's
here's the
cool.
thing.
And I've never seen that. And,
Well, the reason that is because, like, we don't have some corporate person doing our ordering. So the guy I brought with me, the younger looking dude, the skinnier looking dude in Portland, his name's
okay.
Eric. That's who does all of our ordering. And honestly, we're all just a bunch of fish nerds. So anytime we see something that pops up on our import list where we're like, oh crap, look at,
You
they
should get
got
some of that.
those.
Yeah.
We bring them in, even if we
Nice.
don't think we can. Like, that's how we got the mud skippers, because we were like, oh crap, there's Atlantic mud skippers on this list. Bring in a bunch of them. Let's see what they look like.
Yeah.
We just like weird stuff. Like,
Yeah, it shows when you go on there, and yeah, I like, check it, especially like a lot of the invertebrates you have, some of the shrimp and everything. They're like,
oh, and a lot of those
that's
Cherax crayfish. Like, we started bringing those in and getting people to breed them here in the States so that we could get them on a regular basis. And like, that's the other cool thing that we do is like, we'll bring stuff in specifically so that we can get it to people that we know like to breed stuff, so that we can get USA bred versions of them. So you'll see on there a lot of times where we'll have French Blue Star endlers, right? And then we'll have USA bred French Blue Star endlers. And that's because we've taken what we've imported, given it over to some local hobbyist, usually somebody that's from the Circle City Aquarium Club, but like all over. And then they'll breed it. Like, we've got people that do, and we've got employees that do it too. So Aaron, one of our employees, breeds the crap out of marma crabs. He just has tanks at his house that just churn them out like crazy, and he'll bring them in and we sell them. And we have
everybody knows about your crabs after these last two shows, that's for sure.
Right? Like, and like, if you order Taiwan lilies from Aquatic Arts, the only reason we have those is because I grow them in my 55 and I bring them in giant bags because it just grows like crazy, and we sell them online.
That's very cool. It's a community you have there at work. I saw, in a video or one of your live streams or something, you were talking about, like how you handwrite notes to like people that pay over $200 or something like that. And you're talking about, I mean, I know you've gotten very little sleep. I really appreciate you being here and coming on the stream, and it's been a great time and stuff. But you're still talking about, like, I'm gonna do, like, I think I got 2 more emails to send out before I go to bed. And
well, I gotta figure out some stuff that I made some connections. Like, I'm always trying to do the next thing. So one of the things that I'm getting ready to do with Aquatic Arts is I'm getting ready to launch an affiliate program. So what I really want to do is a non-exclusive affiliate program where people can sign up with us and get coupon codes that they can use so we can track to see how many orders are coming in from their reach on social media.
Kind of like you guys do with Alex, right?
Right. Essentially what we do with Alex, but I've basically streamlined it to where, like, you get a certain amount, like a per diem that you can spend on the website every quarter. so that you can
Nice.
make like content videos and stuff and like test our products, because I want honest reviews. I don't want to like pay for reviews.
Right.
And then
yeah.
if you get to a certain point, we can get to a point like with some of these affiliates where you actually would make a kickback from the sales that come in from your coupon codes.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm getting
Yep.
ready to launch this big program.
And then I'm sure a lot of people would want to just put that back in, and yeah, it kind of, I guess it expands this community that you have, that you know, the people that choose to be, you know, do all of those things, they get to be part of that. That's very cool.
My headphones died.
Okay, it sounds fine to me. And I think
Right.
I want to wrap it up pretty soon and let you get some sleep. You know, it
Cool.
concerns me a little bit, like how much sleep you told me you got before this stream. You know.
Hey, you know what? If I can drive back from Dallas without any sleep, I can stay up and talk to you.
Yeah, I was wondering. I figured you must have drove. How far of a drive was that?
14 hours.
Wow.
And I did it with my kid by myself, so I drove the whole thing, and we left Indy at midnight on Thursday to get there at right around 1 o'clock on Friday. We went straight to the convention hall, set up. Then we made it back to the hotel at like 4 o'clock, and the guys laid down and took a nap, and me and Jaden went to the YouTuber pizza party and ate pizza. And then I got about 4 hours of sleep that night, and then we had to do the whole convention for 2 days. So 2 days worth of convention. And then at 5 o'clock when the convention ended, we were packed up and we hit the road and did 14 straight hours back to Indiana with 2 stops.
You're nuts, woman.
And then I passed out for like 3 hours. And then I got up and started editing videos.
Well, yeah, I really want to let you go. Anything else you wanted to mention before I kick you off?
Just live your best life.
Yeah, see,
and enjoy the fact that I can't talk. I've been talking all weekend.
I hope that's what you're doing by keeping yourself that busy, and it sounds like it is to me. Awesome.
For sure.
And so, yeah, I think I should totally mention, you know, sorry we didn't. We pretty much ignored. We totally ignored the chat the entire time, but we appreciate everyone being here. I've gone back and read because I'm terrible about it, and usually people just kind of have their own conversations in there. So I hope that's what was happening here, and everything's good. And Hayley, thank you so much for being on. I think Pam usually streams already, so you know, anybody else that's looking for some more fishy streaming action, go check out Punchy Paints there.
There you go.
And yeah, we really appreciate you being here.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
All right, later.